Africa. My name is Maxine Moffitt, and you are tuned in to the 8:30 a.m. English News broadcast on Vision Cut. And first, on our headlines for today, the President Paul Biya of Cameroon, is currently in the Republic of Cote d'Ivoire, where he is with the First Lady, Chantal Biya, and they are presently there for the purpose of the AU and the EU summit that started yesterday by the heads of states and governments under the theme of investing for youth for a sustainable future. And the Prime Minister, Philemon Yang, the head of the government, recently presented the economic, financial, and cultural program for the year of 2018 at the National Assembly yesterday in Yaoundé. His presentation was unfortunately disrupted by a protest from a member of the Social Democratic Front, criticizing the injustice in one part of the country. Regardless of this protest, the Prime Minister was able to carry on with his presentation. And our journalist, Prince Mundi, has more on this report.
This is the atmosphere that reigned in Cameroon's National Assembly this Wednesday. Members of Parliament of the Social Democratic Front, the SDF, set the entire House chamber in total disarray as the Prime Minister, Yang Philemon, came to present the economic, financial, social and cultural program of the government for 2018. The SDF say it is injustice and unfair for one part of the country to be relatively calm and the other in turmoil. Meanwhile, the National Assembly remain indifferent to it.
Children are going to school in Betuan, and then in I don't know where, in Baganki, and wherever, other children are not going to school, and we think that it is correct.
Despite SDF's disruption efforts, the head of government took to the rostrum to present his program amid intensive uproar. Prime Minister Yang's attitude was not well appreciated by some MPs.
The Prime Minister making a mockery of the Anglophone people. He sees a very important issue is brought to the table of the National Assembly, and he comes in the midst of whistles and songs and protests. He continues to read in his throat something only audible to himself.
Though no member of parliament can claim of having grasped anything out of the presentation, the session is said to have been successful. This is the second time SDF is staging a protest action in the National Assembly since the start of the November 2017 parliamentary session, which is crucial since it is consecrated for the adoption of the state budget. How far will the SDF go if discussion on the Anglophone crisis is not inserted in the agenda of the House remains a major worry.
Some 38 fake certificates from over 16 African countries and some 5 other countries abroad were identified by the National Convention for the Evaluation of Training domain. This was revealed yesterday in Yaoundé during the 85th session of the Commission, and our own journalist, Priska Ngasu, has more on this report.
The 85th session of the National Commission for the Evaluation of Training Domains Abroad saw the scrutiny of some 598 files from 16 African and 5 European countries.
469 files altogether. 388 for the first sub-technical committee on general certificates, 88 for the second sub-technical committee on professional and technological certificates, and 1 file for the third sub-technical committee.
After the scrutiny by members of the Commission, some of the certificates submitted for their Cameroonian equivalent to permit owners to get integrated into the public service were discovered as being fake.
The Commission have investigated 469 files, yes, and among these, 40 were declared false.
The commission members, before establishing an equivalent for diplomas obtained abroad, some laid down modalities by the statutory body are followed.
A certificate saying that you have specialists in the medical field. Don't forget that in the subtechnical committees, it's an interdepartmental committee where the Minister of Public Health sits. They examine the file. They might, for instance, decide that based on the content of the program, based on the condition of admission, and based on the authentication letter we receive from the university, this candidate has a right rather to a doctorate degree in medicine.
While opening the 85th session of the commission, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Higher Education, representing Minister Jacques Famindongo, enjoined members of the commission to be focused, rigorous and fair in their deliberations, which will result in authentic equivalents for foreign certificate holders.
Up next, some students and teachers from the African Institute on Computer Sciences and Technology yesterday received excellence awards from outgoing student committees, and many have expressed their sincere determination and readiness to grasp opportunities in their near future. And now our own journalist, Marilyn Irene, now reports.
40 students who have demonstrated a spirit of determination and hard work have today received prizes of the National Institute of Computer Technologies, EIE.
The most important award was an interview for a job. So next month I'll go for the interview. Hopefully I'll be successful and get a job in level 2, which will be really amazing for me.
The prize-giving ceremony was the Virgin initiative of the outgoing Students Committee to encourage hard work, determination and excellence in the school.
Our students to create project because they can win money with creating programs and it's very good for them to have the sense of entrepreneurship because when after their school, after their studies, they have not need to have a job.
The prizes ranges from computer equipment to scholarships with some partners. The ceremony was presided over by the resident representative of EIE Cameroon, Amanclaude Abanda, who during the ceremony insisted that students should do their best to become entrepreneurs of their generation, given that they belong in a generation of changing computer world. Meantime, volunteerism was also encouraged by the representatives of Youth and Social Affairs, who took the opportunity of the upcoming Volunteer Day of the 5th of December to sensitize the students about the importance of giving their services to the states, not only for their self-development, but as their own quota of nation building.
Now, we will discuss the French President Emmanuel Macron's visit recently to Burkina Faso while targeting youth. Some scientists and artists doubted the question of the so-called equality between France and Africa. And our reporter, Chu Emmanuel, went down to the streets in Yaoundé, finding some findings from some political scientists of sorts, and asked them what they think of the following situation between France and Africa.
The visit of the French President Emmanuel Macron in Burkina Faso is aimed at boosting cooperation on education, digital economy and environment. While targeting youths and students, the French president, born after independence, talked of an equal partnership between France and African countries, discarding the notion of a colony and colonizer. Some political scientists in Cameroon have, however, questioned the ingenuity of President Macron's statement.
See, we have to understand that as a political economist, there are classifications that are existing classifications that is not also made by recognized international institutions that are involved in the field of political economy. We do have the developed world, that is a given. And once a country is a member of the developed world, there is no way you are going to tell a developing country that because a speech is made, so we respect the speech. Perhaps he has good intentions to see to it that the level of inequality that has been existing gets reduced. That fundamentally the reality remains the same. We're always going to be unequal, and I think those standardizations still remain.
While hailing the youths of Burkina Faso as symbols of African democratic goals, the French president again reiterated that African countries using the franc CFA have the latitude to quit the zone and create their own unique currency. How realistic the French authorities can be on this is the question we put to some political scientists.
We are a continent that is getting together. The African Union is working hard every day. And I think that down the road, those are assessments that the head of states are already making. We don't know what is going to come out of their meeting, but it's possible that decisions get made in that regard. And before those decisions get made, it's important for us to understand and realize that, true, we are tied to the franc CFA zone as we speak, which is the currencies attached to still to franc. But I think that we have the freedom when the time comes, and I think the head of states are conscious of that.
Macron's visit to Burkina Faso is the third to sub-Saharan Africa since he took office in May. He is also taking part in the African Union EU summit in Abidjan, which slave trade in Libya will also top the agenda.
And now we have come to the end of our 8:30 a.m. English news broadcast on Vision Cot. We do appreciate your time and you tuning in this morning, and we hope that you have a very productive day. Peace and blessings.